Hello, hello, and welcome to all of you that are watching us live and those of you that are catching the replay. We are Magnet Marketers, and today we're talking about Pinterest in 2018. Should you take Pinterest seriously for your brand? Is it a social network that you should consider? We want to talk through the pros, the cons, and some things to consider when it comes to Pinterest. If we've not met before, my name is Jessica Phillips with Now Marketing Group in the Relationship Marketing System. My awesome co-host, Mike Gingrich, he's the president of Digital Hill, the co-founder of the popular apps Waftio, Tabsite, and published author extraordinaire. And we are Magnet Marketers. This is Training Tuesday. Our goal is always to help you become a magnet versus a bullhorn with your marketing. Today we're going to be diving in to Pinterest, Mike. So what do you think about Pinterest? Something we don't talk about a lot here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it today. I think it's kind of one of my takeaways coming back from social media marketing world, and lo and behold, it was not because of keynote sessions, but it was something that came up in conversations outside of that. These were after hours things, outside of event type things where we were chatting about that. And, I think that Pinterest is not getting some of the due that it deserves, particularly from a website traffic standpoint. So let's just give you a little bit background here as we dive into Pinterest and why you might want to consider it as a strategic social tool for you in 2018. It's got about 150 million active users right now, so it's not small by any stretch, and it's also got 84% of people use Pinterest across multiple devices. Now, the dominant is still mobile use, so be aware of that. Mobile use is number one there, but 84% are using it across multiple devices. And get this, 67% of pinners are under 40 years old. Now, while you may think that the female demographic, dominates Pinterest, that's kind of old news, and it's not necessarily the case. Get this statistic from a Hootsuite that says male users have grown 120% in the past year. All right, so there are just an increasing number of male users of Pinterest, and I mean, you can go on there, you can find all kinds of things. I mean, so there's classic cars, there's trucks, there's all kinds of different things. We'll get into some of that. I got a couple more stories and examples here, but here is where some of the rubber meets the road. Driving traffic to your website and the fact that there are more than 2 billion searches done on Pinterest each month. 2 billion searches done on Pinterest each month. So we want to talk about those pieces here, and I want to welcome everybody. Kim, thanks for joining us, and yeah, great. You're excited about talking about Pinterest today, so hopefully this does add some value to you. But I think that what stood out to me in one of those private conversations in social media marketing world, and that was a person from Tailwind. Now that's a software that you can use for a whole bunch of Twitter tools. So scheduling and analytics and different things like that, they're tied into Pinterest API. And this is someone that knows the ins and outs. And he said, really, he said Pinterest, there's less of a immediate social interaction with it. And he said, really, it's a visual search engine. Okay, so just ponder that one a little bit. Hang on to that thought. Visual search engine. Because what do you do when you go to Pinterest? Number one, if you just go there to the app, they're going to try to show you some things that you might be interested in. But what's at the top? It's always the search. It's like, what do you want to put in? What do you want to try to find? It is a visual search engine, because whatever your results are going to be, it's going to come up in pins, visuals. And 2 billion searches being done there. Majority of those ultimately, if you click through to those, will take you to a website. So that's a little bit of background, a little bit of introduction as we get going. And Jessica, you want to comment on any of those stats or anything that I've said thus far?
No, these stats are just reiterating that I have not taken Pinterest as seriously as I should. And what the epiphany was for me is also at Social Media Marketing World, but even a little before that, I feel like I'm looking at what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, and I'm saying, okay, I'm spending a lot more time to try to get the same results on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and I feel like I'm cranking it out. But then I pause and I'm like writing out my goals and listening to clients, and their number 1 and 2 goals are search. They want search engine optimization, and they want ROI, right? So I'm thinking, okay, how do we get this? Because really, yes, can other social platforms bring that to them? Yes, but it's a different way of doing it. It's the engagement, it's the relationship building, and it's a long-term game because you're waiting, and adding value, and you are having these conversations, and then ultimately it can lead into a sale. But when you stop and pause and think about it, I'm like, what network kind of brings those two things together that I'm always seeing in my analytics, even though I'm not spending near the time that I should, maybe once a month, if that, and barely there, is Pinterest. And I'm like, it is search engine optimized, it is searchable. Pins come up all the time when you're looking for quotes, recipes, anything. It's coming up, 1. And 2, it's the platform that brings the most purchases, and because it's built for purchase intent, and people don't necessarily think of it as that engagement platform. And I think that's why it's probably not so rewarding at times, because you don't get that instant gratification of, hey, I'm getting a comment and I'm getting a like, and oh, people are seeing me, even though they are, right? If you look at your analytics and see the referral sites, a lot of our clients are seeing that traffic from Pinterest, and we're not spending near as much time or effort there as we are on the other platforms. And if we did spend more time there, then what could the results be? So I'm like, you know what, as everyone is kind of focused on these other networks and doubling down there and spending all this extra time, what if we pivot and go this way,
Yes.
and actually dive in a little bit deeper into what's working? So my eyes are becoming a little bit more focused on Pinterest this year strategically, and saying, what can we do to really build this out the right way, how it's meant to be, and just see what happens, right? And measure them kind of competitively against each other, and keeping Facebook and Twitter and all that's still working, for the relationship side, but really using Pinterest as that strategic kind of pivot into growing the ROI and search to see what happens.
Yeah. And I'd just like to kind of piggyback on what you said there, just because, obviously Facebook's made some changes, and with pages kind of struggling for reach and engagement, that there is the, what do we do on Facebook kind of piece there. And I think that there can be value in exactly what you said, and I'll refer back to the wise words of billionaire Warren Buffett, who has repeatedly said that, one of his strategies is, what is everyone else focusing on? Go the opposite direction. So he has made a life and billions of dollars off of finding, the going down the different trail and finding those investments that could earn him a return that were not mainstream, that the masses were not doing. And I think we might have one here. So I think that's what I'm pointing out is this can be we're kind of giving you some background, some insider information that this might be a go-to place for you this year to put some focus in that can help you achieve your strategic online goals by getting some of that traffic, some key traffic to your website.
Purple cow, as Seth Godin says,
Exactly.
Until this spreads, and then, marketers ruin this. But
right.
No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, breaking down, you shared some of the numbers. It's not just for female. I think that's another trap when we start talking about Pinterest, and I've brought it up before in business meetings, especially with some of the clients that we're serving. They're very much non-traditional clients, right? A lot of them are B2B, and they have a very niched service or product line that's not necessarily like an e-commerce, I'm going to buy and check out online, but it's that service-based or long-term sales cycle product that when I've brought it up, they're like, ha ha ha, that's for shoes and decorations and recipes and whatever. But we're not seeing that. Yes, does that have that capability on Pinterest? Absolutely.
Right.
But there is definitely some benefits built into Pinterest that is, one, there's males there, but two, we already touched on it, it's search engine optimized, and it's a way of organizing like your whole product line in a portfolio of sorts. So if you have blog articles, videos, and product testimonials and or the product itself, you can organize that in boards strategic for that specific thing and make it stupid simple for someone to get all the stuff that they need about that one thing in one spot on a board on Pinterest. And that's how we're using it. That's kind of how we sold them on Pinterest, and they've been blown away with how it's working for them. So I think that's a way of kind of saying, how can we use it for our business if it's not kind of that e-commerce, razzle dazzle fancy stuff that you want to put out there. It's a way of organizing it. Think of it like a resource center of sorts right there on Pinterest. Have you found that with your clients, Mike? Or
Yeah. So as a matter of fact, I mean, we're working with a manufacturer of post frame buildings. So these can be anything from a school facility that's made out of a post frame, or a residential home that wants to have that building for some of their toys in the back, the boats and different things, the RV to put it inside, to an indoor gymnasium, to an equestrian facility. And we're finding some success driving traffic by posting up some of their finished products, their buildings, on Pinterest. Again, so you can have a board that it's kind of interesting. You can look through, oh, this one was made into an equestrian arena. What the heck? I mean, equestrian arena, or horse stables, or for tractors, or for their toys, their boats, those type of pieces, or an indoor gym. They take a look at those pieces. So we're finding some success there, just in a post frame building industry. So nothing that's glamorous there. Another one is with vinyl lattice. So lattice is a kind of an add-on to vinyl fencing, or you might use it below a deck, that type of thing, to kind of give you some decor, but protect, keep it from animals out, or whatever it is, that type of thing. So showcasing what you can do with vinyl lattice. And so it's kind of a crossover piece there that people are starting to use. They see it as a design tool. So their outdoor design of their home, that type of piece, so they're pinning it to those types of boards, driving traffic over there. Just kind of seeing it in a wide variety of uses. I already mentioned earlier, just that there's cars and different things like that, and, that you can do muscle cars and, motorcycles, things that people have. Anything that they might follow, but I think there's B2B uses for this as well, and
Absolutely.
It's something to take a look into.
Absolutely. I see Kim Veach is on here. She is like the go-to for Pinterest. Her, Jesse, Peg, they're like Pinterest experts. So if anybody needs help with Pinterest too, and they see their name below, like definitely click on them and check them out, because they are the go-to Pinterest experts for sure. But what you were saying there, I mean, Pinterest is used, I think I actually heard this from Kim, it's used for inspiration and future purchase intent. Those are the two main reasons that somebody's going to go to Pinterest. They're looking for inspiration. So why not, like you just said, that like the exact reason that how you're using it for your client, it's making that inspiration of ease of doing business a lot smoother, because they can find their inspiration, they can find what they're looking for right there, and they don't have to search and hunt around your website. Because let's be real, like people don't like spending a ton of time on websites just finding things, and just because it's there on your website doesn't mean they're going to see it. So why not organize things in Pinterest in a way that's going to make sense? So, I mean, I am definitely all full steam ahead thinking like I'm going to double down on Pinterest. But I know for some, like when we've surveyed, that's probably the least heard of social platform for many of our clients that they've already set up on. Like all of them are set up on Facebook. It's kind of like the yellow pages of our day. Like if you are a business, you have to have a Facebook page, right? And then I would say the second one's probably like YouTube or Twitter maybe, and starting to become more common with Instagram. But Pinterest, I feel like maybe is a little bit more, I don't know, not heard of or unfamiliar territory when it comes to brands. Do you feel
so.
like that? Or do you?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And I think that's something, again, that you want to take a look at. And it's got an engaged audience, and it's got an effective audience. I mean, these are the kind of things that are important to take a look at, you know, when you're talking about your ROI of your time spent.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is another stat from Hootsuite, but they said more than 2/3 of pinners say that they discovered a new brand or product on Pinterest, and a whopping 93% of pinners, and that's almost all of them, use the network to plan their purchases. So I don't know about you, but if somebody's like eager, they're already in that buying mode, like I would like to be considered in that. So I think that is definitely, if your goals, and you stop and think, if my goal is search and it's actually ROI, then this does need to be a network that you probably should be considering spending your time on, because Pinterest takes all the other social networks to the bank when it comes to ROI. So I mean, it is addicting, you know, when you get in there. I get in there and I start pinning stuff, but I think that's kind of the point too. You know, you're getting inspired, you're really getting excited about something that you're going to go to and purchase. So the user itself does become addicted to it. It's just you may not know that they're actually scoping your stuff out until you really start getting involved and checking out your analytics and seeing what they're doing. If they're pinning it, or if they're just using it to get to your website and maybe not saving your pin somewhere.
Yep.
So maybe we should go through some of the basics terminology, because if somebody's not using Pinterest for their brand, maybe a little kind of foreign language. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I think that I know we have this on there, but we got to make sure we articulate the difference between a business account and, you know, a personal account, and the advantages of that business account.
Yeah, go ahead and explain that, because I think some people may not know that as well. It's kind of like setting up your friend page on Facebook for your business.
Yes,
you don't want to do that.
No. Exactly. So, I mean, the business account is what you want, because it's going to give you more business functionality, more in-depth analytics, that type of thing. So, you definitely want to. You can set up and you can convert any profile. It's just kind of like Instagram in that regard, so that you can have a regular profile and convert that to a business account. Yeah, I think that, you know, it's business.pinterest.com. And then there's pin sites, you know, that you can go to at that URL / P Insights, I think it is, and it'll go through some of those details for you there. But that's one of the keys there, is making sure that you just get that set up right, get your custom username, just like you do on other social media networks, but, you know, taking the time to do those pieces there, so that you can have all the full range of tools that we want to look at, because that's what's going to be helpful to see what's happening with your audience. You can learn more about your demographics of your audience, the devices visitors are, you know, using, and of course your popular pins, that type of thing. So that's important data that you get with a business account.
Yeah, and it's really cool because it goes back to all time, like what is your most popular pins, what's getting reshared. It gives you some, like you said, pin sites on their platform of what you need to continue doing, you know, and who you're doing it for, who's scoping it out. I also like to look at Google Analytics and see what they're gravitating to then after they're going to the pin, because you can pin, which a pin is just what think of it, a pin is like a post on any other network. You are pinning, you're putting something on the platform, and you can pin videos, photos, links, all of that right on your Pinterest boards, which boards are a way of organizing your pins.
There you go. Yeah.
So a board is a collection of pins that are put together in a category that you decide. You can move things over. You have the ability to put a title in there, a description, organize it that way, and you can add additional pinners to your boards. Yep. By a per board basis, or by an actual like collection within your account. So like think of it like an admin. So besides boards that you can do, there's a couple different types of boards you can do. What's called a secret board, where it's exactly what it is, secret. It's only shown to those that you decide that you want to see it. Great for, you know, maybe building an insider community, the people that you want to show this to. Maybe they get access to secret pins. It could be a cool like VIP thing that you're putting on for them. It could be something that you're doing with your team for resources. It could be something that you're collecting for inspiration. I use mine. So I would say the most active on my personal thing is I create my like vision board on Pinterest. You know, it's a lot easier than clipping out magazine articles. But you can create a secret board for that, something you want to keep to yourself. It's also a great way for Christmas gift ideas. something like that you want to maybe have hidden, or something that you're building up. So what we've used it for clients is we've built up a board, we kept it secret until we're ready to share it out. So, we keep collecting the data, get it all pretty and ready, and then change it from a secret to a public board. And then the last type of board, I believe it's the last one, is a collaborative board. So this is where you are inviting other people on Pinterest to share in the pinning to this board. So it could be like a social media marketing committee where I'm adding Mike in and several other people, and we are all putting pins into this one collaboration.
Yep.
One way we've used this in our community is like having a community board. So if you have a location where you want to do something like Lima, Ohio, for example, where we're from, and we would add maybe additional pinners that are building things for the community. Just word of advice there, know who you're adding, and make sure that it's not something that they're going to, dump and spam in, and it's something that you can add value together in.
Yep. Now, I think you've covered a lot of kind of key things there. Did you want to talk about pin codes? Sort of like QR codes. So
yeah, go ahead. If you
I can
want.
just mention that. I mean, and
Sure.
I'll let you expound upon what I say there. But pin codes
Sure.
are basically special codes you can create to unlock your business's curated boards and profiles. So that kind of ties into what you're talking about with giving them access to a secret thing like that. Users can enter the code to be. I mean, it's just amazing to me when I look at the tools that Pinterest has. I mean, what was it? Just like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, Twitter finally came out with bookmarks. And I mean, look at all these tools that Pinterest has in here to use like that. So that's what a pin code can be done. And again, I believe only at the business account level. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
As far as I know, that's the only way I've heard that they've been used is the business account level. But I mean, Pinterest does have other things just like other social networks. There is a feed, so when a user joins, they follow different things that they're inspired by, and Pinterest uses their curation to kind of feed that in. So they may say, I'm interested in entertainment, I may be interested in books or whatever, right? They can follow specific topics, or they can follow specific people, or both. And then Pinterest aggregates that into a news stream of sorts, but it's all visual, like Mike said, a visual search engine. And you can search, though, for more things. So Pinterest did roll out where hashtags are able to be used in Pinterest. It's not the most effective way of organizing your pins, but it's now acceptable to use hashtags. But Pinterest uses their own kind of search engine language, basically, to aggregate all of the pins and sort them for you. So the more engagement, the more the pin, lives on. That's one thing I love about Pinterest is you're more likely if somebody, I mean, you think about it, if you think about Facebook or Twitter, I mean, that post is only going to live for so long, most likely, before it's going to die out eventually, right? Unless somebody's really scrolling back far, going to your timeline and really scrolling back far to bring that post back to life. It usually has a pretty short lifespan.
Yep.
It doesn't really happen that often. After a couple of days, it's probably dead. But a pin, I mean, if you think of the power of pins, people are finding stuff forever old. And as soon as they touch it and engage with it, it brings it back to life. So the pin has a lot longer lifespan than a Facebook post or a Twitter post or anything else that's out there because of that search capability on there. And there's so much more you can do with it. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then as well, I think just organizing your boards. I mean, so it's similar to a website. What's your most important copy? Keep it above the fold. Keep it in the visual spot so that they're on desktop they're seeing without having to scroll down. If they're on mobile, it's going to be one of those first two kind of things that they see. One of the first two boards, kind of guaranteed to see there. So organizing your boards and thinking, top left, bottom right kind of thing, and how you want that organized to give quick and easy access to that for people who are, scanning through and found you in your profile, checking that out. Maybe they saw a pin, they come over to your profile, they look at that. What do you want them to see first off?
Yeah, and you can get creative with this because Pinterest allows you to create a cover image for your boards. So if you have a collection that you feature something on the outside first to kind of draw people in, if you will. So maybe it's not some smushed up picture, and all these pictures put together. You can actually create like a cover for that board, which is kind of cool. But organizing it is key, like you said. The other things are, this is still a social network, even though it doesn't maybe necessarily have the same vibe always. But I know, like, this is the only social network my aunt's on. And she sends me pins all the time of things that she's excited about, or Christmas ideas and things like that. So you can send pins to one user to another user. They can they can comment, you do get notifications of that as a business, so you can respond back. So it does have that social built in, and a few other cool features for your website, like the pin it button. The pin it button is something that you can install and you can put on your website, so it makes it really easy for people to be able to pin your blogs or pin your products or any image basically that a user would scroll over on your website. The pin button would come up and they can easily add that specific thing to Pinterest.
Yep.
Something you register for. Another thing to remember is you can tag users too, just like you would in anything else. So if you do have something and you're featuring someone, you can mention them and tag them in it.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that it's a matter of beginning to stay active, taking some time to do that, thinking through your routines. I'm usually making sure that I'm sharing, a new blog post in some way, shape, or form on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I should also be taking some time to think through, what I'm doing with that on Pinterest.
And that's what I've been using Pinterest for mainly, is our videos and our blogs. But there's so many other things you can do. Like when I first started using Pinterest, like I made one as our culture board that highlighted, curated of photos of the team and like what we're about, to give a vibe of like who we are.
Yep.
And driving back to us, and maybe some of the videos on that. It was like books that we like to read, some, fun facts on social things, inspiring posts. I know people, search for quotes and stuff like that all the time, and it's a great way of being able to get to that. So think creatively of how you can use your board. It doesn't have to be just like your product or service. It could be about your culture, your community, your, things that are related, educational things.
Yep.
And you can create that content that looks beautiful, but you can also repin others' content and bring it into your board as well. So you don't have to feel like you have to create it all. This is just like any other network where we're recommending, sharing other people's stuff in a mix with yours and you being that source of good information. The same thing applies when it comes to Pinterest. Bring it all into you.
Yes. Hey, and you kind of quickly went over something there. Maybe we should just stop and you should touch base on a little bit more. And that you said your videos. So tell them a little bit about what you mean by pinning videos, what videos, and why, why.
Sure. So I put them on YouTube first, but then I bring them into the boards, because you can use a link to bring your video in there and it plays right within, site. So it brings it onto Pinterest, makes it easy to find, easy to get the description, then you can watch the video. So I've just organized it. If somebody's searching for a specific topic and I've done a video on that, then I've just brought that into the board. And another that is also in that same board, it may be a blog article on that thing, and it may be some inspiring post on that thing too. But it's all aggregated into one board, so they get that go-to information. Because now I'm kind of double dipping, if you will, into search engine optimization. I have it in Pinterest, I have it in YouTube, and on our blog, I'm trying to get as much curation and visibility on that content that is value added as possible.
That's what
so
we're
you
talking
don't have
about.
to feel like you don't have to feel like you only can put it one spot and then you're done. You can use it and organize it in other places, especially if it's added value. That's what you want to do. You want to get it in front of people you're trying to help.
Yep. And so I think I don't think people recognize the positive integration that Pinterest has with YouTube. So that the YouTube video will play right within Pinterest. It's not like they get bounced out and that type of thing, but there's a nice experience there, which is, I think, just important to recognize.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so much that's built in, even with Pinterest, Pinterest Analytics, like we talked about, But also, the visual search engine, there's this lens feature that uses your smartphone camera to produce new pin suggestions. So if you're searching for something, you can say, hey, find more products like this, which is crazy, right? So if I'm like, hey, I really like your shoes, where can I get them? I can search and it's going to find things that are similar. Like that's awesome. I can't say that I've used that much, but it's awesome. Also, if somebody's publishing something and they have multiple things in their photo, maybe it's a clothing retail store, right? And they take a picture of a put together outfit because it looks a lot better than just a folded shirt on a table. They put together this, together outfit, and then you can have buyable pins where they can get, they say, I like the shirt, and then that takes them to the checkout, I like the pants, I like the boots, or whatever. Same thing with your client, for example, if they have, their outdoor pin, or what did you say they sold? What's it called?
The vinyl lattice, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they have different versions of that out there or whatever, and so they can click on it and it takes them directly to that, but it's more visually appealing maybe in another setting versus it just laying flat. So those are all things that are built in to this visual search engine, as you mentioned, and then they do have the double win bonus for brands, which is ads. You can advertise on Pinterest to take your pins to a whole other level. That's one added benefit to that as well.
Yep. And I mean, you were kind of talking about the commerce ones. I mean, so those that's a type of like a rich pin kind of that you can do that is a product pin, and I think that's so rich pins again are available. Developers.pinterest.com in docs, rich pins overview. There's a piece there, but it's basically that special type of pin that provides a streamlined experience for a certain specific thing. So in a product regard, it's kind of like smart commerce. It's trying to help you shop on Pinterest and do the checkout a lot easier, but it's kind of integrated with a person's website. The recipe pins, again, ingredients and their amounts, cooking time, serving information, right there with you. And let's see, there's article pins. Automatically see the article's headline, author, story description, some of those type of pieces there. And the app pins, share, download apps directly from the platform. Again, streamlined, smooth experience, what's relevant to your service, your brand, your company, your products. Possibly thinking through those. Just again, it's all about taking away friction, providing a rich experience and a streamlined experience.
Absolutely. Now, this is something you do have to apply for. Just a heads up, as you mentioned, you have to go to developers.pinterest.com, and they have the rich pin section in there. So you have to just apply. They verify, you're legit, and then you can start using these rich pins, but it's something you apply for. But as we talked about early on, actually I think we even talked about last year, but it's like, what's the number one reason somebody's going to choose your business over someone else by the year 2020, and we're already seeing this trend, is the experience that you provide. So the speed of use, the ease of doing business with you, ease of doing business with you, and the overall feeling they get while working with you is going to be the reason they're going to choose you over someone else and the reason they're going to refer you on. So these kinds of things just make it a lot easier and speedier to do business with you. So it's kind of a no-brainer there. Like it.
Yep.
So definitely the rich pins. So a couple other things just with getting started. I would say one, like you mentioned already, if you have not considered doing Pinterest, like get started, create a business account. You can go to business.pinterest.com, get started, and then start thinking of your audience that you're trying to target and the kinds of boards that you should be creating. Literally just write them out first. And you can make them secret until you're ready to push them out publicly, but start thinking of your boards. And then from there, add the pin it button to your website. So you have the capability to engage others and have them start pinning your stuff. And then from there, start looking at your Pinterest analytics, or pin sites as they call it, which I think is super cute. So you can see what people are engaging with and start creating fun unique content that is inspirational and helps with that future purchase intent or inspiration. Um, any tips that you have with creating like pins, would you say,
With creating the pin
for a brand?
itself,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, again,
Sure, Kim does too.
the vertical is going to work best, obviously, as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
horizontal type images. That just fills the space better on Pinterest. And I think that some of the same tips apply, that you don't want too
Mm-hmm.
much text, that you don't want an overwhelming amount of text, but
Mm-hmm.
visuals do matter. And so, using some very good imagery, taking time for that is important. And I think that, so that's one thing that I've kind of been back and forth on. But as Pinterest has that potential, I often do a image that works well with Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, that type of thing. So should I also be doing and that's just something I have to get in a routine of, that vertical size image that also can work well on Pinterest.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, like you said, the visuals are huge on that. Make sure it looks good, that it's your image. It's definitely going to look the best when it's your own imagery that you're taking. But if you don't have that ability to maybe have a photographer have some images of your products, maybe you're a solopreneur, who knows, use one of the royalty-free sites like Unsplash to download some of those images. Just be aware that other people are going to be using that too, and if you want to stand out, you would need your own images, but you can at least use it and then change it up. Use a tool like Canva or Spark or Ripple or Relay That. There's so many out there of design platforms for the non-designers, I call it, that make you look like you really are a designer, that can help you spruce them up, add a little bit of text to it, and then my tip for it is making sure you put in a good description with your pin. So often I've found like just an image on there with no like description or link to where I'm supposed to go next or what I'm supposed to do. It's just this image there. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, make sure that you're putting all your value in there and the information. So if somebody does get to that pin, they can kind of find out a little bit more about you and get to your site or wherever you're trying to take them to next. So think about how you can add value on Pinterest as well.
Yep. Which comes back to always again, it's like how can you do something that is helpful, that is not shouting at someone and saying, buy now, when they don't even know who you are, but how do you cultivate that know, like, trust kind of relationship, provide a positive experience?
Absolutely. My last tips, I would say, with Pinterest are participating in group boards, getting active. I mean, engage with others so they start seeing you and, follow you back. Start following some your favorites so you can repin their content into your boards. And then collaborate with others. Create a collaborative board. Think of what that would look like for you and how you can add in people that you trust to make a splash within that board, and then just stay active with it. I'm really talking to myself right now and like stay active with Pinterest and stop deviating from the path. And I'm talking to myself right now, but also everyone else that's thinking about using Pinterest. I think the key is just staying active and consistent with it.
Absolutely. I don't know.
Any other finishing thoughts?
Yeah, no, I was just trying to see if we got any questions. Kim had a couple of great comments there. Yeah, Vertical Rocks. Thank you, Kim, on there. Your ideal image size, 600 by 900. Yep. And yep, so she's given another tip there. Yeah, there's resources there, business.pinterest.com. So there's tips that they give you there. So I think that, my final thoughts are, hey, we want to bring this back up again because we're seeing some value with it, and we wanted to think that there might be value for you in taking another look at how you're doing with that. Can this be a strategic source for you? Not everybody's talking about it in the marketing realm, but people are there, they're dedicated, they're using it, and people are seeing, traffic driven. So that's what it's about. Take some time to evaluate that for your business.
Absolutely. And Kim below, that's commenting, she is a Pinterest whiz, Jeff C. again and Peg Fitzpatrick. I know there are people that talk about Pinterest a lot, and they share a lot of helpful blogs and tips on how to really master Pinterest. So if you're really serious about doubling down on this for your brand, they would be a great resource to follow and read their content because they've been preaching this for a long time. So great tips. Thanks for joining in today, Kim. And thank you all for joining in on Magnet Marketers, where our goal is always to help you become a magnet with your marketing versus being a bullhorn. If you do have questions on Pinterest, please comment below. We will follow back up with you and make sure we get the answer for you on Pinterest. And let us know if you're using it for your business already. Maybe share your link below and we can go check it out and follow and connect with you on Pinterest. Each week we're here on Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have not already, you can go to magnetmarketers.com under the Get in Touch, and you can subscribe to find out what next week's show is all about. So we thank you for joining in with us as always, and thank you, Mike, for your time today.
Thank you, everybody, for connecting with us. Thank you, Jessica, for great insights on Pinterest.
Thank you. I'm going to go start pinning now.
There we go.
All right. See ya.
All right, take care. See ya.
Have a great week.